The idea for this video came to me earlier today while I was doing my laundry. While I was waiting, I was reading Lao Tzu, and this is stuff that I've thought about for a long time. And so I wrote it down in kind of a fervor as it was coming to me. So I'm just gonna read from, well, this mass of scribble here as I was writing. And so the idea was concerning the outward obsession and focus when inward focus should be the whole concern of the individual. So in other words, most people, I believe, as a means of self-absolution and distraction from the necessary and uncomfortable task of self-actualization, look to right the wrongs, quote-unquote wrongs of the world, or impose upon the wrongs with the very limited and subdued cognitive faculties they are in possession of because of the forsaking of the consciousness ascension. This is completely misguided, illogical, and counterproductive, because if we all worked to reconcile the tremendous chaos that we are within, we would naturally be the best versions of ourselves, and these best versions would saturate reality, thus dissolving the disharmony that they are seeking to right with their outward focus and false virtue. So, like everything else, keeping up appearances is everything. All style, no substance. And this has to do with the social justice warriors and the abundance of virtue signaling that goes on by these individuals who don't even comprehend that which they steadfastly champion against. In my opinion, all they do is swallow popular narratives and prevailing paradigms and regurgitate their very shallow and simplistic reconciliations of the in vogue issues they align themselves with, and are so indoctrinated, their vision so obscured, that all they can do is interact with the shallows. They can't dive deeper because the level of consciousness that they're at, the vibratory level, is so subdued by tremendous conditioning and subjugation and blindly swallowing what's popular in society and in the media and all of these things that they do, that they are consumers of, the prevailing paradigms, the popular narratives, the opinions of the masses that they swallow, that are put forth by all aspects of the society we live in. And when you are a consumer of that stuff and you allow people to think for you, and you don't reach your own conclusions, and you don't do the work of self-actualization, you look to impose on that which is without, so you don't have to reconcile that which is within, because it takes a concerted effort, it takes a lot of work, it takes a lot of being the author of your own story, not having others think for you, telling you what to think, how to think, what to believe, what is acceptable, what is unacceptable, which ideologies you are to align yourself with, what virtues you should embody. These things that go on in current events that are highly curated and put out there so that people have something to latch onto on the outside to distract them from what's really going on, to pull the wool over their eyes. The masses latch onto this and these these buzzwords, and then they'll post a black box on their social media to virtue signal, so that they're in appearance, they keep up appearances to be in line with the popular opinion of the masses. So keeping up appearances, they have no idea the deeper implications of what's actually going on and the true nature of these sorts of things, and as in so far as it has to do with subverting and stripping people of their autonomy and agency and ability to think critically and for themselves. So they'll put forth these little stories and things, or renaming a mountain in Yellowstone or whatever because it's offensive. That's a whole nother video that I'm going to get into, the topic of offensive, being offended and all that stuff. So the society we live in is just very, very, very misguided. But we have to strive to stop Stop the virtue signaling. Stop the fixation on all of these highly curated and very shallow events that are going on the outside. Stop grasping at that which is without, that which exists outside of you, and focus on reconciling yourself, ascending in consciousness yourself, making yourself the best version you can be. Stop trying to impose your very limited understanding and your very limited and misguided perceptions upon things that you latch onto on the outside. And this is this goes on all the time, and it's just something that I think is very, very, very flawed and very misguided. And we as a whole, we as a civilization, as a people, need to stop doing this, because all it is a distraction. As I said, it's a self-absolution from the necessary and uncomfortable task, and a distraction from that task of self-actualization, you know, looking to right the quote-unquote and impose upon the quote-unquote wrongs of the world, with very limited and subdued cognitive faculties that we are in possession of because of the forsaking of consciousness ascension. So, and you see it all the time. You see it all the time. Virtue signaling saturates every aspect, and people just like sheep, like a flock of sheep. They see something and they have to join in. They have to be seen going with the grain. They have to be seen be embodying the virtues and aligning themselves with the popular opinions of whatever issues are in the forefront at the moment. You know, God forbid they actually think for themselves, look deeper into these issues, understand the overarching narrative that's being perpetrated upon them, and strip away all the bullshit, forsake all of this garbage and all of these pre-packaged and highly curated ideas that are forced down the throats of the masses. But, you know, this is going to require paradigm shifts and a shift in consciousness, and we have to stop, as I said, the fixation on the outside and focus inward. And if you just think about it logically, like I said, if we were all to reconcile ourselves and reconcile the chaos that we have within, there would be no need to even go about these endeavors, because the universe, reality, would be saturated with people that are self-actualized and the best versions that they could possibly be. So it would dissolve all the disharmony that these people seek to impose upon, you know, whatever social justice issues that they want to, you know, align themselves with, so they could appear to be the virtuous individuals that they wish to put forth. Meanwhile, behind the shadows, in the shadows, behind the curtain, they have tremendous deficiencies of character, just like we all do. Tremendous depravity, tremendous sin, tremendous squandering of the sacred energy that the Creator has imbued us with. But as I said, all style, no substance. So as long as to the casual observer they appear to be virtuous, that's all that matters. But we have to strip away this surface level, superfluous bullshit and start aligning ourselves with substance. Start striving to build ourselves up and align ourselves with tremendous virtue, and you know, present ourselves to reality in a way that is an embodiment of virtue instead of an appearance of virtue. So that's what I want to talk about in this video. And again, these are just notes that I wrote down, and I have been thinking about this stuff for a long time, but as I was receiving the message and I was writing it down quicker, I was getting it quicker than I could write it down. So the notes are very sloppy, and they're all over the page, so I try to make sense of them as best as I could. But that's the gist of it. We have to stop the outward focus, stop grasping at the external, stop trying to impose upon stop trying to rework the divine and cosmic principles with an extremely juvenile understanding, and that sort of thing, you know. goes on in the society today that people think they're so elevated in intelligence and so wise and so above all what they perceive to be the antiquated state of things, you know, the outdated. So they think they're going to revolutionize, but really what they're doing is, like I said, reworking divine and cosmic principles that are eternal, that we need to be in harmony with, that we need to stop thinking that we can oppose, that we're better than, that we're above. You know, that's something that has to go away too. You know, strip the ego, stop indulging the ego, strip the ego of that which feeds it, the energy that feeds it, the misguided perceptions and ideologies that we hold on to that feed and build the ego up and serve to detach us from the overarching divine principles and laws of the universe that we are a part of and we are to integrate with, not constantly oppose. So that's something else I wanted to say. So we all just need to do a better job of reconciling ourselves within, focusing on obtaining and aligning with true virtue, and let go of the grasping and the scheming and the plotting and the outward grasping and all of that stuff. All it is a distraction. All it is going to do is subdue your consciousness and create a whole host of problems that you can clearly see permeate every aspect of our society. But the funny thing is that the people that engage in this, all the virtue signaling and all this sort of thing, this, you know, all of this is lost on them because they're so indoctrinated. Their ability to be reasoning and autonomous, rational beings has been subverted and stripped of them. And so tremendous work has to be done on all of our parts to change this narrative up, and it does need to change. It needs to die. It needs to go away. So hopefully, and I wanted to read a message here from the manual by Epictetus, Stoic philosopher, that has to do with some of this stuff. It says, working within our sphere of control, we are naturally free, independent, and strong. Beyond that sphere, we are weak, limited, and dependent. If you pin your hopes on things outside your control, taking upon yourself things which rightfully belong to others, you are liable to stumble, fall, suffer, and blame both gods and men. But if you focus your attention only on what is truly your own concern and leave others to what concerns them, then you will be in charge of your interior life. So, you know, we're constantly trying to impose our ideologies and things on other people instead of focusing on the development of the self. You know, we'll go to any lengths just to avoid the development of the self. So we impose upon other people as a distraction, as a means of absolution, as a way of convincing ourselves that the problem exists out there. It's not within us. It's these people. It's those people. It's all of this divisiveness, all of this bullshit. So I just wanted to read that. So I hope this video resonates with somebody. We all have work to do. We all have struggles that we have to overcome. And that's why my channel is called It Never Was About You, because the struggles and the suffering and the trials and tribulations that you go through, they must be engaged with. They must be voluntarily confronted with gratitude, with humility, and with a high level of understanding to be able to extract from them the lessons of the true blessing that they are. So it's not about you. You will get through it. Don't take on a victim mentality. Don't curse the heavens. Don't whine and complain about it. Know that you are to go through this to ascend and manifest your ultimate potential in the ultimate self that you are, so that you can facilitate the ultimate purpose that God has created you for. And then you'll have an impact, and you will be able to present yourself to others and raise them up, and have a positive and virtuous effect upon the others that you encounter. So keep that in mind as well. Like the video, subscribe, leave your comments, suggestions, feedback, anything you want me to talk about, anything you might be struggling with that you need a different perspective or advice on. I'll be happy to do that. Check out my other channel, Ray Rivera, where I do music and art and stuff, and subscribe to that as well, and stay tuned for more. And that's it. I'm out of here.